Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. So, who's excited about the AI course on Thursday? Everybody's hand should go up. So, look, we're entering such a unique time in our lives where we can literally manufacture time. So, a couple housekeeping items. Number one, I don't often recommend, well, actually, I don't ever recommend doing multiple tracks, but if anyone wants a really cool experience over the next 4 weeks, we have a bonus track. Well, it's not really, it's part of the prospecting track, but my buddy Brandon, who built an amazing property intelligence platform for agents, will be personally coaching the group on how to build a prospecting plan, what works, giving you guys all free access to his platform, and then using it with you live to help you grow your business. So for anyone that's ever wanted to get more leads, carve out the time over the next 4 weeks on Wednesday to attend that session. Does not mean abandon this session, but it's whether you're using it or not. Sometimes it's good just to hear things, right? And Brandon's an ongoing resource here. He works with us and teaches prospecting. I always find people that build tech and know sales are the ideal combination. So make sure you do that. And if you're not in our newsletter list and you're not getting the recaps, please make sure to email info@Chirag Shah Coaching so that you can look at the recaps as well. And we will begin. So let's get into the buyer consultation. Sorry, I have to move my monitor closer. My eyes are not what they used to be. Look, I always say this from when I was an agent. There are two things that always had a lot of mystery to me, right? A listing presentation and a buyer consultation. It's amazing how much training is out there, but no one actually really tells you what to do, right? So, like anything else here, we have our own process that will teach you. I was talking to another one of our great one-on-one clients, and I had to say to him 3 times, do not change the script, right? And he's like, well, but I want to be in rapport with them, right? And I'm just like, look, they're not hiring you to be their friend. They're not hiring you to like their kids. They're not hiring you to talk about your grandkids. The greatest gift that you can give anyone as a salesperson is the space to speak their truth, their needs, wants, desires, goals, and motivations, expectations, disappointments, concerns. When you do that, they will like you because they're hiring you for the job of buying a home. They're not hiring you to be their friend. Do you guys understand the difference? Because here's the thing, people think like when somebody says they have kids, like here's what happens. And I think this is really important because this stuff comes up in consultations all the time. I could bring up that I have 2 kids. You could start talking about my kids. I can get excited talking about my kids, but guess what doesn't happen? The conversation that needs to have and the time I've allotted for it. So because you don't know how to sell, right? And selling isn't like, hey, buy this phone, buy this phone, buy this phone. It's like not walking on Canal Street in New York City where every vendor is trying to sell you something. No, sales, as we define it as a community, is having effective conversations, helping other people get what they want, right? That's what it is, right? What it's not is being their friend and all this other stuff. That stuff happens over time naturally, but first you have to accomplish the job in which they're meeting you to accomplish. Make sense? All right. So here's our roadmap for today. We have a good amount of stuff to get through, so let's hop into it. And then I encourage everyone to stay on for the role-playing session after. Now, look, I'm going to share this with you, and it's really exciting, but it's also really scary. So, ChatGPT has come out with the first agentic AI. Agentic AI in human terms is AI that can actually do work for you, right? So it's called agent mode. In a Plus account, whenever it's added to your account, you'll get 40 different tasks and stuff. You can actually have it do 10 things at once, do things every day. It's pretty cool. In the $200 version, you get 400, right? So arguably, if you don't have an assistant, it becomes worth it to upgrade to the account, right? But here's the crazy part. So I typed in a real estate search. I actually sent the screen capture to Robert and Rory, and I'm like, look, guys, like this is coming, right? And it is not even debatable in my mind. Do you think a buyer could like literally hit the voice dictate and say, I like this, I like this, this is how I live in a community and tell it all the details of its life. Now find me the best homes? 100%. And it will search the homes more thoroughly in detail and have better pairings, generally speaking, 90% of the time, in my opinion. Now, all right, who here slightly freaked out like somebody's going to steal their job? Everyone should raise their hands, right? Carol's brave because Carol spends a lot of time learning how to talk to people, right? The one thing that they can't do is listen. There's no two-way communication. This skill that we keep talking about role playing, practicing, understanding how to communicate and listen is the most valuable skill you'll ever own going into the future. And the good news is for you here, nobody else teaches this besides us because no one else even wants to pay for it, right? So it's like if you look at two ads, how to convert leads in your inbox, how to get leads in your inbox using ChatGPT in minutes a day. Everyone's signing up for that. How to have effective conversations helping other people get what they want. Nobody's signing up for that. And that's the opportunity, right? So look, when you get to the conversation, right, if you have not had a chance or you do, you recap the Med C, you ask the magic question, and then you transition into the needs analysis. Now, ideally, I'm hoping you guys have had the chance to have the conversation. If not, that's fine, but you need to be more resourceful. Remember, all of the things that you have to offer are a Swiss Army knife, and every tool has a time and a purpose. And so, therefore, what you have to focus on is knowing how to communicate each one of these resources or value that you have to offer in the context of what somebody else wants. And that's going to take practice, right? So, now here's what I want you to do. Step one is prepare a collection, right? You don't want to hear me when I say this. Stop creating collections and doing work for people before they pay you. Now, here's a fun little exercise for you. You know, you take a line here and a line down the middle. I call them T charts, right? In the real estate book, it's like a customer or client. I think it's like just that's just confusing, right? You can just say not paid and paid, right? So we all need to be very present, Tanya, to what we do when somebody's not a client. You could say not a client or a client to me, which is the one I would choose. It's just easier. Stacy Cool Dog. And I would write all the things that I do when somebody's not my client and all the things I do, what happens when they become my client. Stop spending time creating collections for people who have not signed an agreement for you. Like it is a horrible idea, right? You know, there's that saying, nobody's going to want the cow if they give the milk away for free. So find one that you used in the past, right? Also, you want to highlight like how properties get filtered out, what the comments are, you know, and it's showing them. It's what I call this is the ownership experience. The ownership experience is when we can think, see, feel, and understand what it's like working with you before it even happens to the point where they're so excited, like, oh my God, I met Carol. She listened to me so well. She's going to make me these amazing collections. I never have to even think of a property because she's going to filter all the ones out. I could just look at the houses with my partner and it's amazing. Right. By the way, if you're on the fence about this, if you're getting paid 10, 20, $30,000, you have to pick their properties, right? Like this auto search thing, especially with all the AI stuff, is not going to work much longer. All right. So let's go into the needs analysis, right? What is a needs analysis? Can anybody tell me? There's only one purpose, and the answer is the next question. It's to understand the buyer's functional flow. What is functional flow? Can anybody tell me? There's some people here who've been here for a long time. I'm in a really good mood. Don't make me sad, please.
It's just how people live in the house. You know, how do they entertain? How do they start their mornings? How do they end their day? What rooms are important to them? What's important in their everyday flow of life?
Inside and outside, Stacy. So even while you're driving in the car with your dog, hell yes. So that's exactly what it is. So I created this question as a pattern interrupt, right? A pattern interrupt is one of the most important things in a sales process because people are really guarded, right? In a perfect world, you go to sell someone's house or help them buy a house, you'd ask them questions, they'd actually give you truthful answers and they wouldn't be guarded. But people don't answer salespeople because they're afraid that if they do, the person will actually give them what they want, then they have to make a decision, right? So you want to ask somebody, right? Like, has anyone taken the time to understand your functional flow? Or is that something that you have no idea what it is and this is the first time hearing it, right? You see how my voice changed? They can be like, no, what the heck is functional flow? And I could say, let me start off by telling you this, Dawn. Can I share with you in my time in real estate over the past blank amount of years, the biggest mistake that I see buyers making, and they're going to all say yes, right? Because they're coming to you as a expert. You're going to say that most people end up trying to fit their lifestyle into the home because most people just look at homes as bedrooms, bathrooms, updates, backyard space, and neighborhood. Functional flow is our detailed analysis that we're going to go through together so we understand how you live inside the house, outside of your house, mornings, evenings, weekends, holidays, what areas are most important, what kind of experiences you have, so that we could find a home that fits into your lifestyle. Would that work for you, or does that make sense? Right? Now, answer this question. You guys have all combined done this for hundreds of years. Have you heard anyone ever say anything like that in your life? No, and either have your clients. Yeah, exactly you, or me, right? So if you think about this, you should hope that your clients go talk to somebody else. Because when they do, they're gonna be like, so how many bedrooms do you want? How many bathrooms do you want? So, well, what is the backyard like? It's just generic freaking nonsense. They can go to a website and do this, or now they can go on ChatGPT, right? So that in-depth understanding and human connection, as much as I could go to ChatGPT and do everything, I still want to use a real estate agent, right? Like I have a great agent, Karen Scott, who I work with here in Westport, Connecticut. Karen knows everything about me. If I send her a property, she can tell you why I would like it or not, right? She can tell me where I like to go, how far my commute is in the morning, and if I'm even going to be willing to tolerate it. But that's why I stick with Karen, right? She knows me. But if not, it becomes transactional, right? It's a way to position your unique value, and it's an easy segue on how you solve the client's challenges. And it dives deep into their deep wants, desires, and goals. And it's the definition of a luxury client experience, right? If you were going to a place, how many people here are married? Okay. How many people went to a venue to get married? How many people used a wedding planner? Wedding planners do this all the time. What's the day like? What's the feeling like? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be indoors? Do you want to be outdoors? What's the ceremony like? What's that like? That's functional flow, right? So you do all of this for one day of your life. And when you're living in a house, and that's, by the way, this just like dawned on me right now. That is a great analogy to use with married partners or couples. Like, how much time went into your wedding? How many details did you discuss? Do you felt the wedding planner knew like everything about all this? And like, so simple question. You did that for one day in a really important question, in a really important occasion in your life. Now, let me ask you this. Do you want to ensure that that same level of detail and execution is done when you're going to find the home that you're going to live in for the next decade or more? And everyone's going to say, yes, thank you so much. Because remember, we talk about framing, right? Take out the frame, the conversation makes no sense. You put in a great frame, the people are excited. Have you noticed that the whole time we've been talking today, it's about how to talk to people, right? You're not going to learn this in a day, a week, or even a month. Like, I don't mean to be negative, but you need to practice. But this is where all the money is. You can charge more commissions when you're able to do this. So creating the gap, right? So how do we create a gap? Highlighting the client's mind, there's a gap from what they can do on their own and what they want. That's the magic question. What do you envision an agent doing for you that you feel you can't do on your own? Remember, feelings are subjective. It's not that you can't do on your own, that's combative. So you create the gap and then you fill the gap. You give the client exactly what they desire without having to say so directly because you talk about it in process and in conversation. Does that make sense? If you don't identify a gap, it's like going on a hike up a mountain and walking with a blindfold. There is no path. The gap is your roadway. It is your path. It's the lights. It's the navigation. A gap, it's like, what do you feel an agent doing? What do you envision an agent doing that you feel you can't do on your own? I just don't want to manage this, right? Like, I need proactive communication. I would love off-market properties. That's a gap, right? When, because buyers, don't be naive. I said this, I'll never forget this. It's like rule number one of being a public speaker, don't lose rapport with people and like within like the first 5 minutes. And I used to chair my young professionals network on my board. So it's like 150 people, and I would just train once a month. I loved it. They got value out of it. And like our thing was you can learn one new thing in your business that you can make more money with today that you can use. And so in the end, I said, the biggest challenge that you have about real estate today is your clients know more than you do. And you're naive to think that all these things that you offer, they can't do themselves. Man, were all the people pissed. Normally people laugh, not this group of people. Before out the window, right? But after a few seconds, I go that I got them to understand that that was the gap, right? So here's how you go through the needs analysis, right? And for my team here, make sure to pull the buyer consultation from free coaching month that Kate Bauer and I did. Let me tell you, for some of you OG CSC people, you guys all know Kate Bauer, dear friend of mine. I personally coached her. She's a coach here. So she was the agent doing the buyer consultation, right? Her needs analysis was in my actual, like she knew I used my actual situation, which she does know really well. And so she went through this framing of like, I want a backyard that has trees and a pool and all these different things where I can't see anybody. So she took all that stuff and all of a sudden she goes, so can you find a home? And she listed out all the things and echoed them back to me on Zillow. Can Zillow filter all those things? I'm like, no. What about Realtor.com? And at the end of it, like I just felt this, even though I knew it was rehearsed. I'm like, I need to hire her. Like she gets me. That's what functional flow and all of these things do, right? Personalized conversations, personalized questions, you recap. There's closing session, closing questions, right? Those are like really the anchors, right? So like at the end, if an agent were able to do blank, 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 and blank, and essentially be your filter on the market, would you feel most comfortable and confident that that's the right partner? Yeah, 100%. Okay, great. And then you keep going, right? Those are called trial closes, right? And everyone's like, well, I don't want to sound like this. Yeah, but the people that sound like this do sales. And the point of this is you should not feel bad about asking a closing question. The buyer questionnaire. Now, we have the most insane buyer questionnaire. Like this thing is like it's diesel would be the word, right? So we'll attach it. I don't want to invest the time today to go through it with you. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it creates expert positioning. You're allowed to use AI. It shows that you care and you set yourself apart from other agents. So who here feels uncomfortable about giving somebody a 3-page questionnaire that they have to spend like 2 hours filling out? Raise your hand or hit yes. Okay, go ahead. Give me your objections. Come on, bring them on.
Did you say a 2 hour questionnaire?
It could take 2 hours. It could take an hour to 2 hours, depending how many details they provide.
Does anybody have that attention span anymore on the planet Earth?
Well, that's a really good question. So here's my answer. I'm going to go back to process. Process is everything. If they don't do it, so I always say that if I ask you a question, you give me an answer that's an answer. No answer is an answer, right? So I would again go back to framing. Is this, I would say to you, Gen Vest, is this the largest? So unmute yourself. We'll do this live so you guys can see.
Hello,
Hey, Jen. So can I ask you a question? Is this the largest financial person purchase that you've made in your life or potential ever make in your life?
definitely.
And so tell me a little bit more of how long it took you to save for the down payment of this home.
Oh, it took uh it took a lot of time. It took several years.
And did it also require you to have discipline and maybe make some compromises in other areas of your life so you could really build this next chapter?
Yeah, definitely.
So, how important is getting this process right for you, not only today for your financial future, but also for your family?
Yeah, it's where I want to live the next several years. It's really important.
All right, perfect. So, what I want to do is in the spirit of partnership that we spoke about, right? We have a very in-depth questionnaire. Now, I'm going to tell you in advance that we take the same time in building this questionnaire and reviewing the questionnaire in the same mindset of how much we know it takes for a person to even save and be ready to make such a big decision. So when you see it, now watch this. What you're probably thinking is, wow, this is a lot of information. What you're probably feeling is it might be a little overwhelming. And at the end of it, you're going to be so happy that you did because we're both going to have everything in one place. And this is literally going to serve as the filter to find the right home for the next decade.
Yeah, that sounds great. One question though, what if I change my mind on something?
Great. You can just shoot me a message and I'll update it.
Awesome.
And by the way, changes are expected, right? Like conceptually, from seeing homes online to, living your functional flow in the house and walking through there, you might walk into a house that you've never thought of, and all of a sudden the layout just speaks to you and can really amplify those experiences you shared, right? So, people are
Mm,
building new homes every day, people are doing different renovations every day, and there's no one size fits all. So we want to be able to be nimble throughout this process.
mm.
Okay, here's my question. Is anybody going to say no to that? The answer is yes. Yes, 100%. And those people are what? Bad clients. How can you find a home and not literally burn your time like money in a garbage can when people don't want to give you basic information? They're not hiring a partner, they're not hiring a service, they're hiring Keith and you ever see Happy Gilmore? Anybody like when the grandma goes into the nursing home, and she's like, "Can I have a warm glass of milk?" It's like you could have a tall glass or shut the hell up. It's like you see this, you will go to sleep when I tell you this. No, it's like you will go to sleep or I'll put you to sleep. You said, "See this name tag? You're in my world now, grandma." And it's like literally this is what they're saying. Like, you will do what I want do it. I'm signing your contract and I'm paying you money. So you will go through this process however I see fit. And that's what you're going to do because I'm paying you money. That's essentially what they're telling you. Do people that don't want to give you information for you to do your job make good clients? No, those are the people you show 472 houses to 2.5 years, and some of them go buy a house at an open house and they don't care. To me, a major red flag. Like when people do one-on-one coaching and they don't fill out, I literally show up and I cancel the call. I'm like, there's no purpose to this call. And I go, if you're not going to do the work to fill this out to give me the information, it's not going to work because you're never going to do any of the work I told you to do. Because you can't even show up prepared to your actual coaching call that you signed up for and you spent thousands of dollars. So look, here's how we're going to put this all together. Again, review the Med C and the magic question. Now imagine this, like go into imagination land. Imagine you had the Med C. Imagine you had the magic question. Imagine you had that buyer questionnaire filled out with pages of their stuff. When you see this thing, it is really freaking elaborate and really, really cool, right? If you have all of those things, how much information can you extract out of ChatGPT about these people? Insane, right? Then you can run prompts that say, based on everything you know about them, write me. And then I would figure out the characters, like the number of characters that make a good comment. I would say, based on everything you know about them, I need a 500 word or less characters that personalizes listening, listing, showing that I listened to every last detail where they felt like I walked through all the photos. You're going to your work's like this, right? We are figuring out more and more ways through AI to streamline hours of work into minutes. So this is a good question. Most people call and just start talking about what they want. So how do you do an initial call and well, the buyer questionnaire is something they do after they've hired you, right? You can show it to them, but we're not giving them any of this stuff. I don't care what like if you're not if that's like somebody filling out my questionnaire and me taking the hour it takes to review it and come up with questions before they've even decided to work with me. They don't. And if somebody calls you, you make sure you have your plot note, make sure you know how the phone thing works. And it's like it's really great. I know you're really excited. Can I ask you a few really important questions so that we can solely focus our time together talking about what's most important to you? I'd med see them and they're gonna be like, what about the bathrooms, the bedrooms, everything? Hey, like I will have a strategy and a plan to get all of the information that we need to make this a curated or personalized experience for you. You can upload everything into ChatGPT, like everything. So in 2 years from now, when you want to remember how to give Chirag a call and what should I talk to him about, you have an entire record to go off of, right? And for everyone out here who's like, well, do I have to put this in my CRM and ChatGPT? If you want to make money, the answer is yes, like in an optimized way. These things that take like 3 to 4 extra minutes lead to hundreds of thousands of dollars of lost revenue because no one does it. This one day and you don't have clean contact cards or any information of how you interact with people. But that's a story for a different day. All right. So I'm gonna kick it over. Where's Cherish? Cherish, you here? I saw her here. Maybe
I'm
she's
here.
coming back. Oh, okay. All
Yep.
right. I stole 3 minutes from you last week, so I'm gonna give you 3 minutes back today.
Awesome. Thank you.
What is the BRBC?
That's the buyer representation agreement. So in order to
Oh, so
show properties,
we'll get to that. So at the end, the buyer's representation agreement, it should be a simple next step, right? Like they should want it by the end of the consultation. It should say the only thing that we have left to discuss. Here's my close. The only thing that we have left to discuss is two things. Number one, the next steps that we're going to do from here. And number two, just going through the paperwork. I go through the paperwork. I'd say, hey, let's review this together. But the investment for my services is blank percent. And then I just shut up. Can you do it for 2%? No. Can you do it for 2.5%? No. The investment for my services is 3%.
so I had a call yesterday. If a guy wanted a $6 to $8 million house, all cash, like maybe I'm just indispensable. You know, he can find any agent to represent him, or maybe that's how he feels. But we had a great conversation up until that point when I said he's from Arizona, he's coming to California, he wants to find a property like in the next couple weeks, wants to come out here, and so I brought up, well, before we see homes, we're gonna have to sign an agreement, and he said, well, I've never done that before and I don't believe you. And we had this great conversation up until that
So,
point.
so remember we talk about, this is such a great example, and then I'm going to kick it over to you, Cherish, is remember we talked about framing the conversation. No frame, what you say makes no sense and only in your benefit. You could say, are you aware of the recent law change in real estate in 2025? No, I'm not aware of that law change. Well, or last year, what is it? The law requires that it has to be clear how agents are representing clients in a property, and it requires a signed agreement before going out. I know this is very different if you haven't bought a property, and it does sound kind of crazy. I think it's crazy too, and then be quiet. That's it. But again, I have not sold real estate. I just understand like a framework of using sales and communicating with people, which any of you can do too. This is not like a special Chirag skill. So kick it over to Cherish. I encourage you all to sit here and go through the meditation, role play for the love of God so that you don't get replaced by ChatGPT. I'm not trying to scare you guys. I'm being truthful. All right. Love my heart. I love you all. Make sure we'll send an email about the prospecting session tomorrow. Our AI course starts on Tuesday, and love my heart. Love you all. Everyone have an amazing day, and I will see you all soon.
Bye, Chirag.